We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230, KGEO, 1410, KARI, 1000, KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and 3 times a week on the Internet through KNUCmedia.com. Our guest in person, in studio, Tom Edmonds, former detective sergeant from the Beverly Hills Police Department. So, Tom, one of the questions I had for you looking through the book is the second chapter talks about presidents and prime ministers. And that was kind of interesting. What about President Kennedy? I guess he had a relationship somewhat with the Beverly Hills Police Department.
Yeah, I was on the door at the presidential suite. It's, I believe, room 726 at
this was
the
in
Beverly Hilton Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a guest there.
Now, according to something I read in the book, they had a Beverly Hills Police Department a police officer was standing in front of the room while the Secret Service were across the hall.
And they were all
half
passed
asleep.
out and sleeping.
And Angie Dickinson was in the room with Beverly Hill with President Kennedy.
Correct.
Who knows what went on in that room, but the two of them were in that room throughout the night.
It was just an interview.
Just an interview. Yeah, a rather long interview. Yeah, interview for some type of job apparently, but and that was again during your tenure.
Yeah, I was on the door.
You were the one at the door. Yeah. Oh, you were the police officer at the door. Okay, now and I didn't get to see prime ministers. There were prime ministers also there in Beverly Hills at the.
Well, the Princess Anne, I believe it is, the one that was married to Snowden, the photographer.
Uh-huh.
I was on their door. And she came out in the middle of the night and brought me a sandwich.
That was nice of her.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It was really nice of her.
Yeah.
So you've met some really high-powered or very popular celebrities, and I was wondering if you ever met Elvis Presley.
I didn't meet Elvis Presley. A lot of the guys did. But I was stopped on a car stop in Truesdale Estates on the street he lived at on Hillcrest Drive. And he backed me up. He stopped in a black Rolls Royce and got out and stood behind his open driver's door. And he was known to carry a gun, so I'm pretty sure that if trouble happened, he would have taken care of it.
Wow, isn't that awesome? You know, it's interesting you mentioned Truesdale Estates. Paul Truesdale and I actually got to be friends when I lived in Santa Barbara. We both were heart patients, and he made arrangements for me to have a particular surgeon and a particular hospital in Los Angeles. He was a great guy.
Wow.
Great guy, yeah. It's going back a long time.
Yeah, definitely.
Truesdale Estates. That was the basis of the Beverly Hillbillies movies.
Was Truesdale Estates?
Truesdale Estates.
Wow. Yeah.
They have that. Loma Vista is the main street in Truesdale, and it's this very steep street with a lot of accidents. And we had a girl that lived in Beverly Hills that owned the King Ranch after her husband Ike died.
The King Ranch in Hawaii?
No, in
Texas. Texas, that's
She's
right.
buried in her Rolls Royce there. Her Ferrari. She died, and they buried her in her car on King Ranch.
That's funny.
Well, she used to call up and complain because the brakes on her car would go out like they wouldn't even last a month. Well, she would fly down the hill and just burn them up.
Oh, my.
Now, you had some other impressions on some movie stars, apparently. Debbie Reynolds, Kirk Douglas. Tell us about
Kirk Douglas was a prince.
Mm-hmm.
Really good guy. And I was friendly with Peter Douglas, one of his sons.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones I didn't know very well. I knew Eric, the one that passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of a trouble to them.
Now, see, I was friends with Michael. We went to school together in Connecticut.
I didn't know that. Mike Douglas?
Yeah.
Wow.
Years ago.
Yeah, I met him, but I didn't know him very well.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a party for that movie, Cuckoo's Nest, at Kirk's house.
Beautiful home, wasn't it? I was there once.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Well, you know, it's funny. That was a movie. There's a great story behind it that you probably know about, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That was a property that Kirk Douglas thought would make a great movie, so he bought the property for it. He wanted to play the part that Jack Nicholson played, but people talked him out of playing that part and suggested Nicholson for it. But that was a property that Kirk Douglas wanted to own.
I know he had it for quite a while, too.
Yeah, that was something something he was interested in.
You know, there's 26 chapters in this book, and every one of them looks like they're really interesting. You talk about gang members, you talk about rape, you talk about hotels, basic police work. It just goes on. And I imagine, Tom, you have tremendous stories that you could share if we had the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We're having a conversation with Tom Edmonds, former detective and sergeant from the Beverly Hills Police Department.
You know, I have a son who's on the Bakersfield Police Department, and I just love listening to some of the stories that he tells sometimes. And I'm excited to support the police, not just because my son's on it, but I think that all of us need to be supportive of police departments everywhere. And the comments I'm hearing coming out of New York that the only thing that we need are dead cops is really sort of disgusting. And we've got a terrible mayor in New York City, and I want to get your thought on that and some of the things he said.
Well, what I'd like to know is these people, who are they going to call when they need a policeman? A gang member, maybe? Crip or a Blood or
the Black Panthers.
Somebody to come and bail them out. No, they're going to call the police and then expect the disposition on their matter.
Yeah, it's amazing how much disrespect there is for the police until you need them.
Now, one of the things, Tom, going back to the book a little bit, that you talked about in the book was there was a pretty liberal police chief from 1969 to 1971, and I remember this. There were protests in front of the Beverly Hills Hilton Hotel.
Correct.
And this liberal police chief went out there actually with the protesters.
Exactly.
Yelling, "Kill a Jew, Alpha Tau."
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, Joseph Paul Kimball was his name, and he came from up north in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
And he did away with black and white cars, too offensive.
Jeez.
And it was just, he never carried a gun. His first day on the job, he went into the Luau restaurant, which was a Hawaiian-themed restaurant, and had a bunch of cocktails and just signed his name, Joseph Paul Kimball. And they didn't know who he was. They had to call a night detective in to verify that he was the police chief. The guy was just a disgrace to the police department.
And I think that thing in Beverly at the Hilton killed him. That was it. He was done.
Well, they fired him once, and then he came back. Mm-hmm. They rehired him, and then he got fired again.
Yeah, I mean that. And then one of the chapters in the book, you talk about a Saudi prince. Tell us about that.
Yeah, he owned that house on Sunset Boulevard that had statues that had all the hardware on them.
I remember that.
And it was the night after New Year's, I believe, probably about 1980. It got torched.
Mm-hmm.
The chauffeur and the secretary's boyfriend torched it.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole place burned up, and it had a copper roof, and it took the fire department hours to open the roof up just to get in there.
You know, it's funny. I had an office across the hill at the old Hamburger Hamlet on Van Nuys and Ventura, so we used to come across on Beverly Glen all the time. And I remember that. Didn't he buy 2 lots and tear them down in order to build that monstrosity?
I believe he did.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, it was millions and millions of dollars he paid to buy the 2 lots and then destroy the beautiful existing houses and then redo it, this monstrosity that he put up.
Tom, what is the most interesting case that you can remember you ever worked on?
I would say a Rolex robbery case where the guy would follow people from drugstores or a market. After he would see them wearing a Rolex Presidential and tail them home and stick them up. And I made him on 21 armed robberies.
Wow.
And
crazy.
I did it by putting together a partial license plate number, going through the alphabet until I found the right make car. And it was, but that was only one. There were many, many great cases that I had fun with.
Well, Tom, thank you for coming in. The book, again, is Inside Beverly Hills PD, and it's about Tom Edmonds, a sergeant for the Beverly Hills Police Department.
They can get it on Amazon.
On Amazon. Okay. We've got a little less than a minute left, and Clay, you and I have an announcement to make.
Yeah, we do. Go ahead and make the announcement, Marty.
Well, next week is going to be our last show. Clay and I have done this for almost 4 years now, and Clay, I've loved every second of it. There hasn't been a show that I haven't enjoyed, but it's to the point now where for you and I, financially, the time's better spent someplace else.
Well, and our families need us more.
Yes,
it's
definitely.
been a lot of fun. We've met some great people. We've had some tremendous shows.
Yeah.
And I really feel good about some of the nonprofits that we've helped over the years.
Yes, I totally agree.
So,
yeah, Tom.
It's been a great run.
Yeah, it has, Clay, and I've appreciated you and your friendship, and it's been great. And we got one more week left.
We do. It's not Barry Goldwater, is it?
It's not Barry Goldwater.
Okay, good.
We'll see you in 167 hours on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.